To get us started off with, I thought I would do Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain. It's an old Willie Nelson song which uses a lot of these moving bass lines like that. So he does it in E. I'm going to do it in G and try and add as many of these moving bass lines as I can remember. So here we go. There you go, a little bit of Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain. What I liked about that one is it just is a perfect illustration of all these little walk downs. All these little walk-ups and walk-downs. You don't really even think about it too much when you're listening, but as you're playing, it really helps direct where the sound is going. So we're going to talk about walking up and walking down. Now there's a couple simple rules that go along with it. Usually you're going between, in this situation, if you're in a country situation, a country genre, or a bluegrass or something like that, generally you're going to be dealing with the 1, 4, and 5 chords. Occasionally you'll be hitting a 6 minor, but in general, you're going to be walking between 1s, 4s, and 5. So I created a little sheet that takes you through the main walk-ups and walk-downs in guitar-friendly keys, which in those styles you play a lot of, the keys of C, G, D, A, and E, caged keys, if you want to think about like that. Those are keys that are guitar-friendly and guitar players play a lot of in. So we're going to do some walk-ups and walk-downs, practicing going between the 1, the 4, and the 5 in different combinations in these various keys. So I gave you a bunch of exercise to start you off with. All these are outlined in the PDF. So if you can, go ahead and take out the PDF right now. I'll do it as well. And the first key we're going to look at is the key of C. So you got to think with me. In the key of C, the 1 chord is the C. The 4 chord would be the F, C, D, E, F. Okay? The 5 chord would be the G, C, D, E, F, G. So the 3 chords we're dealing with are a C, F, and G. 1, 4, and 5 in the key of G. All right. So if you look at this first example, when I put a slash there, that is you're just to play the chord, not the bass line. So let me see if I can get a pick happening here. So take a look at that first one. We've got a C. You play the single note, then you do the chord, just the rest of the chord. Then I give you a G, so we're doing an alternating bass, sort of a 1-5 in the bass line. You'll see that a lot. Kind of imitating maybe a tuba in a brass band or something like that. What's the old joke? You have your guitar class, the beginning guitar class, and the joke goes, you've got guitarists in there, you got a bass player in there, and so they teach the first and the fifth of the various keys, and that was the end of the first lesson. And so they get back the next day, and the guitar player's there, but the bass player's gone. Well, what happened to the bass player? Well, he got a gig, because he learned how to play 1 and 5. So that's a little bass player joke there for you. All right, here we go. So look at that first example. We're going to do a walk up to the 4 chord, up to an F in the key of C. So I play a... Now I'm going to walk up to the key, or to an F. Then I walk back down to a C. Now, here's the basic rules for this. Okay? You want to go from this point, the chord you're at, and you want to land, if you're in 4/4 time, it would be 4 beats later, on the chord that you're targeting, the target chord. Now, you want to walk up, usually scale-wise, within the key of the song. So in this case, the key of C. So I'm going to try and walk up, stair step, in the key of C. Now, sometimes I don't have enough notes, or I have too many notes to get me there, so occasionally I'll have to kind of add a note here and there to make it work out right, so that I land on the target note exactly on beat 1. That's the gig. So my first choice is I do scale-wise. If I need to add a note, I may need to add a chromatic note in there. So those are your 2 rules. You want to go stepwise in the key to the note that you're going for, whether up or down, and if you need to add a note, then you add a chromatic note in there to help the beats come out right. Now it changes if you're in 3/4 time. Right now these examples are in 4/4 time, but if I was doing it in 3/4 time, that would change my walk-ups and walk-down. So, but I put the main ones that I do here, so you have them. Okay. So that first one again would be C. Now I'm going to walk up to F. Now you'll notice there, I couldn't just start going, or I'd end up on the F too soon. So I had to add an extra C in there. Walking up to that F, but walking down, I had to add an extra F there to get into it. Now it may seem like this is really complicated. How am I supposed to remember all this stuff? Once you get it in these 5 keys, that is about 95% of the walk-ups and walk-downs you'll ever do. So it's not really all that hard. Just practice these 5 pages. Okay, now there's an alternate way of getting to an F too. And look at the second line. And I'm going to slip a little C7th, which includes that B flat in there, which would be the 5 of the 4 chord, that F, the 5 of the F. I'm going to slip a little C7 before that F, and instead of walking up to the F, now I'm going to walk down to the F. See how nicely that got us to the F? That time when I'm on the low F, all I had to do was walk right up the scale, and it worked. In the first example, I walked down from the F to the C, and I had to add an extra note. So you'll see you'll always be having to kind of add an extra note in some situations and take it away in others. Now, I gave you 2 versions of going from a 1 to a 4 in the key of C. What if I needed to go to a 1 to a 5, or the G chord in the key of C? Well, here, get it started again. Okay, I went down 4, so I had to repeat that C. Now, why didn't I just go up? Well, you got to remember, a bass line is going to want to be low. So if I have a lower option, I will always try and go to the lowest option. Like that, I could go to that high G, but it would make more sense musically to go down to the G, because there is a lower G, and I want to go to the lowest bass note possible on any of these chords. So this is number 3. Now, on that slash, I could do eighth notes there too. Okay, take a look at the last line on that page. I have an F chord. Now I'm going to go between the 4 and the 5. Another combination that you're going to see a lot. Okay, so I'm going to start on the F. Now here's the deal. 4 and 5 are only 2 steps away from each other, but I got to somehow squeeze 4 beats in there. So I'm going to have to kind of wobble around, and this time I went back down. Very common thing you're going to see a lot. Starting on the F, go down a half step, back to the F, up a half step, and then I end at the 5. Okay, again, there's only 2 notes between them, so I couldn't really do that going from the 5 to the 4. It doesn't sound as good. So, that just doesn't work as well. But from the 4 to the 5, that's one you're going to use all the time, and you hear all the time. Gosh, I was listening to some Willie Nelson the other day, and you hear that sort of stuff. Same deal. I just did it with the chords. All right, so you kind of get where I'm going with that. That's the key of C. Let's practice a couple more. Let's go into the key of G. Okay, so you got to think in the key of G, probably the next most common chord, key you're going to find yourself in. The 1 chord in the key of G is a G. What's the 4 chord? Think it out. What's the 4 chord in the key of G? G, A, B, C. C would be the 4 chord in the key of G. What about the 5 chord in the key of G? What would that be? Think it out. I already know how to do it. You're the one that needs to learn. Here we go. What's the 5 chord in the key of G? D. G, A, B, C, D. So the 3 chords we're going to be dealing with are a G, a C, and a D. All right, so take a look at that first example. How do I get from a G to a C? Well, doing this walk-up thing. There goes the C, and then I walk back down. A lot of these are going to be similar, and they're going to overlap, okay? Take a look at the alternate version, the second line where I have to use that G7, that 5 chord of the 4 chord, the G7 going to the C. So here, I don't have enough room to keep going down, so I'm going to have to jump the octave somewhere in there, so that I just choose to jump it on that F in the second measure. So take a look at that second line. I do the G, the bass note, G. Hear how that led me right down there to the C. Now I could have just jumped there when I just ran out of notes. It just makes a little bit more musical sense if you jump it a little bit earlier so you have a contiguous line that's going down there. Okay? Cool. So number 2, let me play that all the way through. And back to the 1 chord. Or sorry, the 4 chord. And there's back to the 1. What if I went to the 5 chord in the key of G? Well, it has to go a different direction. Look at the bass lines even in the first chord. Remember when we were back in the key of C, I had a lower bass note, C, G. The 5th was beneath it. In this one, in the G chord, the 5th is above it, because there's no low D. Do you see what I'm saying? You're always having to flip either between a low note or the high note. So you're always flipping between these different directions. This is the third. This is up the 5 chord, the D chord, and it walks back down. Okay. Once you do these, get these in your musical ear, they come pretty easy. So this is the last one. We're going from the 4 chord, we're in the key of G. We're going from the 4 chord to the D chord. How would I do that? Same thing, I dance back a half step. And then I'm on the D chord. Now look what I did there in the next to last bar there on that page. I didn't just go D, 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 D flat, C. I could have, and it would have worked fine, but I just did D, A, D, A, D, D flat, C. Okay, so these aren't the only way to do it. There's other ways to do it as well. These are just the common ways that I do it a lot. So these are the ones that I use all the time. You guys have any questions on that? If you're not as sure about your scales, then we did a couple of courses way back when that I was reminded of as I was preparing for this. We did the major scale mastery courses, the fretboard workouts. So if you're a little fuzzy on your scales and your keys and things like that, you might want to check those out. There's a level 1 and a level 2. Level 1 takes you through it at a lower tempo. Level 2 takes you through it at an upper tempo and gives you some different scales. It does all of the scales that you can do open, and then it gives you a couple of movable scales too. So if you're a little fuzzy, I just was reminded of that resource. If you're a little fuzzy on those major scales, which is something, these are the alphabets, these are the building blocks of music is major scale, so you might check out those courses. That'll help you solidify those. Now, let's go to the third page. We had a question here. Scroll back here if you can. Thomas Dawn is saying, would you just do a triplet on the last beat? I'm not quite sure what you're referring to there. If you could give me an example, Tom, that would help out. Okay, on the walk-ups and walk-downs in the key of D, look at the third page. Now we're back to where we have a fifth note that can go beneath it. Okay, we have D, A. What happened here? Well, I could go up, which would be a nice little melodic line up. The thing is, it would land me on the high G, and I want to go to the low G. Well, so how do I do that? I could do that. I could just go down the scale. And that would get me right there. Or here, I just went up to it, but I had to stay on that D an extra beat. Different ways. There's multiple ways you can do this. So starting at that top one there. Remember, there's C sharps in the key of D, and that'll get you there. The alternate version goes down, where I hit that C natural in the second measure. This is the second line. And then I go back up to it. So the specific examples are fun and interesting, and you should go through that, but I want you to understand the concept too. What were my two rules? You go to the key, and you walk stepwise in either direction in the key. If you need to add a note, then add a little chromatic note in there, which seems to happen more when you're going between the 4 and the 5 chord. Okay, so let's take a look at the third example there. Same thing, you guys know the drill. D, A. And the idea is that you want to be able to do these without having to think about them. walk-ups and walk-downs are a great thing that you can do when you're accompanying a singer, a vocalist as well. This helps them to know where you're going, and they can kind of hear where you're going. Like in that example, the second line. Let me go back to the second line here. If I'm rocking in the key of D, and she's singing away, whatever song it is, and suddenly I go, there's no doubt that we're going there. But sometimes if I don't put that in, then suddenly, oop, the chord's there. So I can lead the singer. I can pave out a red carpet for them to walk down by doing these little walk-ups and walk-downs, these little stair steps to where they're going. It forecasts the chord that they're going to, and that makes them feel secure. And that's your job as an accompanist, is to make them feel secure. Okay? All right, what are we doing? Let's do the last line. So we're in the key of D, and we're going to go from the 4 to the 5. So this is a G to an A combination. Same lick. So it's okay to repeat a note. I was watching a fellow describe this concept today, and he said, oh, you should never repeat a note. No. You kidding? I play guitar for a living. Do whatever you need to land on that note, the target note that you're going to. If you need to repeat a note, that's okay. Most of the time you're going faster anyway. It'll work just as fine. Okay? Let's look at Ronald is asking, can I demonstrate this in a jazz tune? I'm way ahead of you. Ronald, give me about 5 minutes and we're going to slip this concept into jazz. Let me quickly go through the walk-ups and walk-downs in the key of A. Same concept, okay? But now we're in A. 3 chords, the 1, 4, and 5 in A would be an A. What would be the 4 chord? Who can get it to me? What's the 4 chord in the key of A? Who can type it in fast? I need an A, and then D is the 4 chord. Okay, what's the 5 chord in the key of A? Somebody type it in real fast. What's the 5 chord in the key of A? Jack Lloyd got the 4 first. Thank you, Jack. Come on. You're making me happy, making me proud. All right, and there you go. There is my E's coming in there for the 5. Okay, so here's the first one. Now everybody's answering me there. Good. Come on, that's making me proud. It's making this old guitar teacher proud there that y'all are answering these things right. Let's do the alternate version where we slip in that A7th in there. Ooh, there I threw in a chromatic line going down to the A. A little bit different possibility there. Okay? Ron Service says a C flat. Ron, you're now I'm embarrassed, Ron. Okay, here you go. Number 3, we've got walk ups and walk downs 1 to 5 in the key of A. Oh, that's a good one. Okay, so there's little variations in them. Number 4, the last one on that page, the 4 to the 5. Now, you could also, here's the deal with that one. Why didn't I go to the low E, Steve? I thought you said you're supposed to go to the low E. Well, that sounds like this. So it's a little wonky, going up and then suddenly dropping. So I just put it on the upper E there. But you're breaking your rules. Well, you work for whatever musical situation that you're in. The last one, walk ups and downs in the key of E. Here we go. Sorry, here we go. 1. Somebody a little bit earlier mentioned I walk the line. Ron Service says, I'll keep trying. Ron, you're the best. You're the best. On I Walk on the Line, it goes right on that progression. In the song Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain that I did earlier, if we switch it back into its original key of E, you end up with there. He's just doing a little hammer on there between the E. To the B. So you can throw these little hammer-ons in there as well. Number 2. Okay. Number 3. Going up to the 5. Don't freak out on that B7th. I just did my second finger down here on that low F sharp there. And the last one on that page. So as long as you're just, you find a song. Like if I was doing Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain. Okay, so it starts on a 1 chord in the key of E. Da, da, dum, dum, da, da, dum. Goes to the 5, dum, da, dum, 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 da, dum. So let's see. What can I do there? Because it goes up to the B and then right back. Dum, da, dum, 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 da, dum, dum. Let's see, that goes up to the B5 there, so the B. Da, dum, da, dum, dum, da, dum, dum, dum. Let's see if I walk down. Dum. I can't sing and play at the same time. And then it goes to 4 chord. Da, da, dum, da, dum, da, dum, dum, da, dum, dum, da, da, dum. Da, da, dum, da, dum, dum, It's a very useful skill. Now, we can put it in more of a jazz setting. So let me do a couple of announcements first, and then we'll put it into a jazz setting. Okay? Because we've already blown a half hour on this. All right. So let's take this, and let's give some things away. I'm going to give away a set of Martin SP, the acoustic strings. These are phosphor bronze, a light set of strings. So the winner of this is coming. Dan Stankard is the winner of these. Congratulations, Dan. These are Martin Acoustic SP, phosphor bronze, great set of strings, lights. So send me your information, Dan at Mighty Oak, service@mightyoakmusic.com, and your mailing address, what you won, things like that, and that always helps me out. All right. So that's that. Also wanted to let you know, last week, I'm going to give something else away too. Last week we had, it was actually probably about a month ago, we had a lesson with Rob Harris. A great lesson. Man, one of the best ones in the last few months on songwriting. Now, we had some technical problems that night, so weren't able to actually get it out that night, and it took me several days, I think a week and a half before I could get the dumb thing edited and get it out. But it is up now. So if you go to our Guitar Gathering YouTube page, the video there, the most recent one is the one from Rob Harris, the Nashville singer-songwriter, which was great. That was one of the best lessons. If you're interested in learning about taking a song, crafting it so that you can, perform your own songs or learn how to create songs, take a few minutes and watch that lesson. That was a great lesson. with Rob Harris. I think it's called Being a Singer-Songwriter with Rob Harris. Check it out. That was a great one. Anyway, he left a few of his CDs, one of the best singer-songwriters in Nashville. And this is his CD, which I have. This is a great CD. And someone is about to win this. The winner of this is on his way to being here. Make sure and check your list. Make sure we're not doing it. That looks good to me. Andrew Simpson. Andrew Simpson, you have just won Rob Harris's CD. Send me your information at service@mightyoakmusic.com. Address, what you won, things like that, and I'll get them out. I know I'm late getting some things out from last week, so some of you folks that won stuff from the boutique guitar show lesson, which was great. Did you guys enjoy that? What a crazy, innovative time that was with the boutique guitar show, which they've been to probably 20 places since then, and are going all around the world with these unique guitars. If you're interested in that, you can go to boutiqueguitarshowcase.com and see where they're going to be at. If they're going to be anywhere in your area, check them out. It is a very, very cool exhibit. So, all right. I wanted to also mention we've got a few resources. If you're not a member, you've had to download the stuff today. This PDF is on our Guitar Gathering community. If you're not yet a member there, it's all free. Just become a member there, put in your email address, put in your favorite screen name, and sign up for the discussion board. It is a great place to hang out, talk guitars, and get resources, of which this is now up in the download section along with several other things. So check out that. Also, we have our Fall Fingerstyle Guitar Retreat. Is going to be amazing. If you're interested in fingerstyle guitar, we've got 3 spots left. We're having International Fingerstyle Champion Don Ross, the only person in history to have won the Fingerstyle Championship twice, and he is going to be with us, as well as Candy Rat Records. He is one of the founding fathers of Candy Rat Records. We have also 2 other artists from there, Ian Ethan Case, our good friend, double neck guitar, looping, fingerstyle, amazing. And then Van Larkins, our good friend from Australia, is going to be here as well. So if you're interested in sitting on big, comfy couches 10, 15 feet away from some of the best fingerstyle guitarists on the planet for 3 or 4 days, in the peak of autumn colors here in Nashville, check it out. You can go to fingerstyleretreat.com and snag up one of those. It will surely sell out here in just a couple of weeks. So if you are interested, now's your chance. All the lodging and meals are included. So even with that, it's still one of the most economical 4-day events, especially in fingerstyle, that you're going to come across. So I'll put our fingerstyle retreat up against anybody's conference. We put on a great conference. All right, the next thing I want to let you know is we also have our Guitar Gathering Summer Conference, which that is up. You can go to guitargathering2020.com. Man, 2020, that sounds weird to say. guitargathering2020.com. Man, I'm getting old. I'm getting too old for this. Anyway, go to guitargathering2020.com. If you're one of the first 10 people to sign up for our summer conference, you get a free baseball hat. So check that out. And I think we've even got payments. You can even do it in payments this time. That one's great. Okay. So we've given away the 2 things. Let's get to some jazz, shall we? Shall we? Let's do that. I'm going to switch over to this incredible guitar. Let me take off the price tag. One of the great things about Grunes, you can just reach over and grab things. This is a AR 4573 1998 Buscarino Artisan guitar. A gorgeous guitar. This is a jazz. You do not want to play this on your hard rock tour. This is not for that. This is made for jazz. It's got the flat wound strings, so these are they have no ridges on them, so it's very mellow sound. All right, so to mess around with this, I thought I would whip out a jazz standard. This is a jazz standard, There Will Never Be Another You, and I just kind of thumbed my way through a little arrangement of it. So let's see if we can come up with something. There you go. A little bit of There Will Never Be Another You. I see some of you are asking about the amps that we are using. The magnetone back here is just for show. I'm not really doing anything. What I am running through right now is the little Walter tube amp. Great sounding amp. So check out Little Walter amps. I know Vince Gill plays them now. He plays them with the Eagles. So those are great amps, Little Walter tube amps. So anyway, check it out. And I'm running through nothing. I'm going my guitar into the cable, into the amp. So there's nothing else happening there. Let me touch on really quickly this. I added some jazz bass line exercises to this as well. Those are on the last 3 pages of that document download. Now, these are pages that I snagged from the Learn and Master Fingerstyle guitar course that I did. So if you're interested in fingerstyle stuff, check out that course. You can, there should be a link for that. I think the guys have that. You can go to guitargathering.com, look at the store, and it'll take you to that course as well. Learn and Master Fingerstyle course. Very proud of that course. That was the one course that I was allowed to do whatever I wanted to and put whatever I wanted to in it. So I was thrilled that that course worked out like it did. These are 3 pages from the 120 pages or whatever that I have in that book. So Ron Peterson, Ron, I'll get you to that question in just a minute. Okay, let me go through these bass lines first. Okay, so take a look at this first exercise. Now these are a little bit different purpose. These are more for dexterity, building dexterity with your right hand there. So here we start off with some jazz chords. C major 7th, A minor 7th, D minor 7th, G 13th. If you're not familiar with some of the jazz chords, I did a course on that. Man, I've done courses on just about everything. The jazz chords, check out the fretboard series on jazz chords, and that'll get you familiar with these forms that I'm using here. So all right, so here's this first example. I'm just going to do quarter note bass lines and the chord doing a whole note. So you've got to think a little bit. So my top 3 fingers are playing the top 3 strings, and then I'm just doing quarter notes with my thumb, kind of doing a fleshy part of my thumb. Give a nice good warm sound. Okay, exercise number 2. Now I'm going to offset those a little bit. Okay, so I'm still going to keep the quarter notes going in the bass line, but now I'm going to offset the upper notes. So I'm going to play a dotted quarter 8th rhythm in that. So you end up with something like this. Now, if you haven't done that before, that's going to be some time doing that. It takes a while to build up that coordination. Break the parts separately if you need to. Just go. And then you add the bass line. Okay. Now I'm going to add a walking bass line between it, like those big upright baits. Okay, I'm going to add a walking bass line. I'm going to put my guitar up like this because my hand is hurting me a little bit from. I'm still not completely healed from all of my hand stuff, so this helps. And I've done a lot of playing over the last week up in Spokane. So here we go. We're going to now add a walking bass line to it. So this is going to be. All I'm doing is going in the key. I'm walking between the 2 target notes. I need to land on the target note at the time it's supposed to land, and then I just do a note in between those that's in the key. Let me play that again. Okay. Now, let's start having some fun. Look over at the next page. Now I'm going to do that same bass line, and I'm going to offset as the chords are going by. So you see there's like 3 different things I'm doing at this point. So this is exercise 4 on the next page. Okay, I'm still doing quarter notes in the bass, but now I'm also keeping track of boom, clam, and I go up to the chord, and I break those apart too. If I speed it up, okay. Now look at the next one. Now instead of doing scale-wise, I'm going to add some chromatic notes in there. So I'm just going to go a half step, usually above the target note to the target note. So here's my C, and then I want to get to the A, so I'm going to go a half step above the A, B flat, to the A. Then I'm going to go a half step above the D, which is my next target note. So I go to E flat to the D. What's in my next target note? A G, so I'm going to go an A flat to a G. What's my target note? A C, so I'm going to go D flat, C. All I'm doing is do a half step above the target note before each chord. Add that with some chords. Tricky, but just see how suddenly that makes it sound more jazzy, just doing the half step. Okay. What's the last one? All right, now I'm going to go, looks like I changed the chord progression a little bit. I'm going from a D minor to a G7, just walking down, like right there is a pure walk down in the key of C. Now here, I'm running out of notes, so I have to throw some chromatic notes in there. All right. The last one, exercise 7. It's a 2-5-1 in the key of F. A G minor is the 2. A C, I'm doing kind of a C11th, a B flat with a C in the bass. That's the 5. Going to an F major 7th, that's the 1. And then I'm going to throw in a little 5, a little altered 5 to get us back to that G minor. So you got to think, what would be the 5 of a G minor? It would be a D7. But this is jazz. I don't play just a regular 7th. I'm going to do a 7 sharp 9, maybe a flat 9 to get us to that G minor. And now I've got a chromatic bass line. I've got alternating rhythm up at the top. I've got altered chords. Let's see if I can make this. Sorry. Half step down. Okay, I'll play that again now that I kind of remember it. 2, 3, 4. Okay? Very different way of playing. The master at this is Martin Taylor. Go look up, you can go on the internet right now and go onto YouTube and go to Martin and look up Martin Taylor walking bass line, I think is what it's called. And Artist Works put it out, and it is the most clearest explanation of jazz walking bass lines I've ever seen. It is that video. Once we get this put up, I will put that link in the video so you can watch that. It's Martin Taylor walking bass lines, and it's put out by Artist Works because he does a lot of work for those. Okay, that is all that I can show you on walking bass lines and moving between these different chords in a country, in a bluegrass setting, the first ones, and in a jazz setting. The 2 5s. I showed you a low one. If I did a high one, let's see, if I'm in the key of C maybe. Ah, my finger hurts. So, now I can also go down, which is what we did on that other one. So I can go up or down. All right, there you go. That's enough of all that nonsense. Let's give away one more set of strings. I'm going to give away, this is a Martin acoustic set of strings. These are not these are the bronze, the 80-20s. So there's kind of two, as far as strings goes, there's 80, in acoustic world, there's 80-20s, then there's phosphor bronzes. So these are the 80-20s. Okay, these are lights. Great set of strings. Someone is about to win this. The winner of this is Keith Bates. Keith Bates, you have just won this set of strings. Send me your information at service@mightyoakmusic.com, and we will get this out to you. Okay, we had some questions. Someone asked, I forget who is saying, what is the mic that I'm using for the acoustic? This is a Sennheiser MKE 600. Sennheiser MKE 600. It is a phantom-powered mic, shotgun mic. It's really good for interviews. We did interviews with Vince Gill. If you want to look up, it's the Garoon Sinker Mahogany videos that we did with Vince Gill, and I bought these mics for that show. But they record acoustic guitar very well as vocals. So that is the little shotgun mic that we're using there, a Sennheiser MKE 600. It does take phantom power, but other than that, it is going straight to the board with nothing else. Okay? Ronald Vaughn is saying, is the walking bass line that common in jazz? The short answer is yes. You'd be hard-pressed to find a jazz song that the bass is not walking. Now, for the guitar player to do that, well, he doesn't necessarily have to. That's what the bass player gets paid the big bucks, so that he can play the walking bass line. And the guitar player can just sit there all night and go... and just chunk all night long, or do chord melody stuff. So it's not as common for the guitar player to do the bass line as well, but in fingerstyle jazz, you're going to hear it all the time. Check out some Martin Taylor stuff. Be great. Neil is saying, Steve, if you're playing with a bass player, would the walking bass line get in the way? The short answer is yes, it would. So I don't do that when I'm playing with a bass player. The bass player, he's doing his thing, then I can just do my thing and just do the chords. So, great questions on that. If you have any more questions, quickly get them to me while we're closing here. Next week's live lesson is going to be a good one. We're going to have another great live lesson next week, which will be September 10th. And we are going to have Parker Hastings. Y'all don't know Parker, but he is a phenomenal young thumb-picking, kind of Merle Travis sort of a player. Grew up in the bluegrass world, so he is quite the performer. He's young. He goes to Belmont College right out here. But yet he has been playing at the Chet Atkins convention for years and years. I've been wanting to have him on the show for many years, and we just worked it out. So Parker Hastings, you guys are going to love him. Parker Hastings is going to be with us next week, and that's going to be great. And then also mark on your calendars, October 1st, we're having Jude Smith, who is a great young player, kind of John Mayer-ish sort of player, funky, young, great, exciting Jude Smith. He's a big one. He's going to be big someday. And so there you go. He's got some great live lessons coming up. And then I think probably the last Tuesday of this month, we're going to probably do another chat on our discussion board. So be checking us out for that. All right, Stephen Brown is asking one last question. Why is most acoustic players play open chords? Oh, that's an easy one. Because open chords sound great on acoustic. Bar chords sound lousy on an acoustic. So if I'm playing an acoustic, I'm going out of my way to play open chords. Even if I have to capo, if we're playing in an odd key, an E flat or a B flat or something like that, I'm going to capo so that I can still use my open chords, because open chords sound great on an acoustic. They like the sound of those open strings. Now, open chords on a jazz guitar, that I don't want to do, because it is, I want to get that warm sound. But for acoustic playing, I want to get let me turn this down. This is buzzing a little bit. There we go. Acoustic, I want to get these strings ringing, so I like open chords. I like my C's, my G's, my D's, A's, and E's, caged keys. So if I have a song that's in the key of F, I would capo it at the first fret and play the dumb song in E, because that gives all of my ringing songs, ringing strings, all right? Good job. All right, let me play something out. I wanted to thank, before we get going, I want to thank our producer tonight, Stephen Quinn. Our chat monitor is Cameron Drury, and then, of course, our wonderful moderators, Doug H. and Neil. You guys are the best. We're trying to kind of put together something in Toronto in mid-October. So if you guys are interested, any of you guys in Toronto are interested, shoot me an email at service@mightyoakmusic.com, and we'll put you on the list for when I'm doing something in Toronto. So hopefully it'll be in October. We can put it together. All right, we're going to close out with this is a song that is kind of almost sounds like a hymn. It's although it's a modern song, called "How Deep the Father's Love for Us." Good night, everyone. Keep up the great work in your own learning, and we will see you guys next time.